Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the weight of the room around you, the soft hum of the air conditioner, the distant murmur of traffic bleeding through the walls, the faint pressure of your own breath rising and falling in your chest. Now listen deeper. Beneath that rhythm, there's something else. A whisper, not from the world outside, but from inside you. It's faint at first, like the echo of a voice calling from a childhood hallway you swore you'd left behind decades ago. You try to ignore it, push it down with the rush of your day, emails, meetings, the endless scroll, but it persists. It tugs at the edges of your awareness, a shadow slipping through the cracks of your carefully constructed life. You know this feeling, that sudden chill when a familiar scent wafts by, a rain soaked jacket, the metallic tang of an old bike chain, and suddenly you're not here. You're there, back in the playground where the bigger kids cornered you, their laughter sharp as broken glass, or in the dim kitchen where words hung heavier than the steam from the stove, unspoken accusations carving grooves into your young psyche. The past isn't dead. It's not even past. It's hiding inside you, coiled in the marrow of your bones, waiting for the precise trigger to uncoil and flood your present with its ancient venom. This isn't some poetic fancy. This is your nervous system speaking, a biological archive of every unresolved wound, every moment you learn to shrink, to adapt, to survive. Carl Jung, the Swiss explorer of the human soul, saw it clearly. The past isn't dead, it's hiding inside you. He wasn't talking about memories filed away, like old photo albums. He meant the living psyche, the collective undercurrent of archetypes and shadows that shape your every reaction, your every hesitation, your every quiet rage, suppressed into silence. You feel it in the way your heart races during an argument, not because of the words being spoken now, but because they echo the abandonment you tasted at 5. The rejection that taught you love is a fragile conditional. Imagine your mind as an ancient forest, vast and tangled. The trees you see, the conscious thoughts, the rational plans are just the canopy. But below, in the undergrowth, the roots twist deep into soil enriched by every trauma, every unprocessed grief. Jung called this the unconscious, a reservoir not just of your personal history, but of humanity's collective inheritance. And right now, as you sit there, that forest is alive. A root brushes against your ankle, sending a shiver up your spine. That's the past, not buried, but breathing, influencing the path you choose without your permission. You've tried to outrun it. Therapy sessions where you nod along, self help books stacked on your nightstand, affirmations whispered in the mirror like incantations. I'm over it, you tell yourself. That was then, this is now. But then comes the trigger, a colleague's offhand criticism, a lover's distracted glance, and the forest erupts. Your body betrays you first. Pulse quickens, chest tightens, a flush of heat that feels like shame made flesh. Your mind races to old defenses, people pleasing, withdrawal, the perfectionism that promises safety but delivers exhaustion. Why? Because the past isn't a story you tell. It's a force you embody. Think of it like this. Your psyche is a haunted house, not in the ghostly supernatural sense, but in the profoundly human one. Every room holds a fragment of you, the child who learned to hide emotions to avoid punishment, the adolescent who armored up against betrayal, the adult still scanning for threats in every interaction. Jung warned that ignoring these rooms doesn't exorcise the spirits. It lets them fester, projecting outward onto others, turning relationships into battlegrounds and ambitions into hollow victories. You attract what you haven't healed, repel what you fear becoming, the boss who undermines you. He's the echo of your father's disapproval, the partner who pulls away. She's the mirror of your own unclaimed vulnerability. This core paradox grips you. You crave wholeness, a seamless flow between past wisdom and present power. Yet the past hides not as enemy, but as exiled part of yourself. It's the shadow Jung described, not the devil on your shoulder, but the unlived life clamoring for integration. Deny it, and it controls you from the basement, dictating your anxieties, your addictions, your endless quest for external validation to fill an internal void. Embrace it? That's the hero's journey, the alchemical transformation from fragmented survivor to sovereign being. But here's where it gets intimate. Right now, in this moment, that hiding past is whispering your name. Feel it in the tension across your shoulders, the subtle clench in your jaw, the way your thoughts loop back to what if scenarios rooted in yesterday's wounds. You're not broken for feeling this. You're human, profoundly, archetypally human. The nervous system doesn't forget. It's wired for survival, imprinting threats so deeply that they become your default reality filter. A single raised voice can catapult you back to the chaos of a fractured home, your rational mind helpless against the tidal wave of autonomic response. You've normalized it, haven't you? Called it just stress, who I am, the way things are. But what if this isn't your fault? What if it's an ancient adaptation, a psychic scar tissue formed when your younger self had no choice but to dissociate, to split off the pain and hide it in the unconscious attic? Jung saw the psyche as self regulating, always seeking wholeness through symbols, dreams, synchronicities. Ignore the signals, and the past amplifies somatic illnesses, relational sabotage, a creeping existential dread that no achievement can silence. Picture a river, you at its bank, convinced you've dammed it upstream, but the current still rushes, carving new paths through your life. The promotion you sabotage out of imposter syndrome, the intimacy you flee from fear of engulfment, the creativity you starve because it feels too vulnerable, too exposed. The past hides, yes, but it is the unseen architect of your suffering and your potential. And yet, there's hope woven into this paradox, because if the past lives inside you, so does its medicine. The wound is the doorway. Jung's Red Book chronicles his own descent into the unconscious, facing the shadows to emerge integrated. Yours awaits the same invitation, not to war, but to witness, to sit with the child still hiding in the forest, offer a hand, and lead them into the light of now. But before we descend deeper, feel this truth settle in your bones. You are not haunted by ghosts. You are haunted by parts of yourself demanding reunion. The past isn't dead, it's hiding inside you, waiting for you to remember. Chapter 2, Archetype Analysis. The Shadow Exile. Your psychology is an ancient battlefield, etched not with swords, but with the silent scars of what you dare not face. At the heart of this war lies the archetype Carl Jung unearthed from the collective unconscious. The shadow, not the cartoonish villain lurking in dark alleys, but the profound primal force of your rejected self. The parts you banished to survive, now hiding in the recesses of your psyche, pulling strings from the unseen. The title whispers a truth. The past isn't dead, it's hiding inside you, this hiding place, the shadow. And today we define it, dissect it, and reveal it as the eternal exile of your unlived life. Jung described the shadow as the dark side of the personality, those traits, impulses, and memories deemed unacceptable by your family, culture, society, the unloved child of your inner. Imagine it as a vast underground cavern beneath your conscious mind, a repository where every forbidden emotion, every shameful impulse, every unresolved trauma from childhood gets exiled. The boy who cried too much, shoved into darkness. The girl who raged against injustice, locked away. These aren't mere bad habits, they are archetypal fragments, universal patterns echoing humanity's collective wounds, abandonment, betrayal, the terror of engulfment or annihilation. Symbolically, the shadow is the nocturnal twin of your ego, the persona you present to the world. Picture a grand mirror in an ancient hall. The reflection you polish daily gleams with competence, kindness, control. But turn it sideways, and there lurks the distortion, the rage you suppress, the laziness you deny, the desperate need for love you cloak in independence. Jung warned that this archetype isn't static, it's dynamic, alive, growing stronger in repression. Everyone carries a shadow, he wrote, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. Yours hides the past debris, the sting of a parent's conditional affection, the playground humiliation that birthed perfectionism, the adolescent heartbreak that armored your heart. This is no abstract theory. This behavior, the seamless denial of your inner turmoil, is actually an ancient defense mechanism of the nervous system. Eons ago, when survival hinged on tribal belonging, your ancestors learned to hide unacceptable traits to avoid ostracism, which meant death. Your shadow formed the same way, a child's psyche, fragile as fresh clay, molded by caregivers' judgments. Don't be angry, they said, exiling your fury. Big boys don't cry, burying your vulnerability. Fast forward to now. That defense fires automatically, a neural shortcut keeping the past's pain at bay. But at what cost? The exile festers, projecting outward. Your difficult boss is your own unacknowledged authority issues. Your needy partner mirrors your starved anima. Delve deeper into its symbolism. Jung likened the shadow to the alchemical negri dough, the blackening stage of transformation where base matter dissolves into chaos before rebirth. Your shadow is that negri dough, a seething cauldron of unlived potentials, the artist you never became, screaming silently, the lover who risks all, chained, the warrior who asserts boundaries, muzzled. It's not evil, it's energy, raw and potent, distorted by neglect. In dreams, it appears as monsters, pursuers, dark figures, urgent calls from the unconscious. Ignore them, and synchronicities multiply repeated conflicts, illnesses mirroring emotional blocks, a pervasive sense of something's missing. Consider the relational archetype within the shadow, the wounded inner child, a sub-archetype Jung touched on through his Pueri Aeternus and Anima Animus. This is the eternal 5-year-old, frozen in the moment of betrayal, hiding behind adult masks. Her sacrifice? Your authenticity. Every time you people please, you're feeding her exile, trading spontaneity for safety. The hidden wound, an insatiable void where past abandonment echoes into present disconnection. You chase achievements, relationships, highs, anything to drown the whisper. You're not enough, but the shadow knows wholeness demands retrieval. Philosophically, this archetype embodies the tension between individuation, Jung's path to self realization, and persona inflation. Society rewards the mask, the productive worker, the agreeable friend. Repress the shadow, and you become a hollow king, ruling a kingdom of echoes. Nietzsche glimpsed it. One must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star. Your chaos hides there, past traumas fueling the fire. Freud called it the id, raw instinct. Jung elevated it to archetype, bridge to the collective unconscious, humanity's shared myths of exile, from Adam's fall to Perseme's underworld plunge. In daily life, the shadow manifests subtly, a thousand micro betrayals. You scroll social media, envying others' ease, blind to your own projected perfectionism. A meeting critique triggers disproportionate defense, not from now, but from the father's voice, long buried. Intimacy falters. You withdraw, fearing the shadow's vulnerability will devour you. Career stalls. Innovation dies under the weight of what if I fail, like the childhood experiments crushed by ridicule. This is the archetype's genius. Camouflage. It hides as personality, stress, just but Jung insisted. Recognition is the first integration step. Forward loop. This ancient defense, while protective, births a deeper tragedy, the eternal exile of your true self, dooming you to relational voids and existential hunger. We've named the beast. Now trace its roots to the psychological foundation, how your nervous system rewires around the shadow, turning past pain into present prison. Yet pause here. Feel the resonance. Your shadow isn't punishment, it's portal. Jung confronted his in the Red Book, dialoguing with spirits born of his depths. Yours beckons the same, not conquest, but conversation. What traits have you exiled? The laziness that craves rest, the selfishness that honors boundaries. List them now in your mind's eye. See them not as flaws, but allies starved of light. This archetype analysis isn't academic, it's activation. As we proceed, witness how the shadows hiding reshapes your biology, emotions, relationships. The past coils tighter, but awareness loosens the grip. You're not its victim, you're its keeper, and keepers hold the key. Chapter 3, the psychological foundation, nervous system rewiring. Your psychology is an ancient battlefield where the shadow doesn't just lurk, it rewires the very architecture of your being. Every exile of the past, every banished fragment of self etches itself not just into memory, but into the flesh of your nervous system. This isn't metaphor, it's neurobiology meeting archetype. The past hides inside you because your autonomic nervous system, your primal survival engine, imprints trauma as if it's happening now, turning yesterday's wounds into today's automatic reflexes. Carl Jung intuited this. Modern neuroscience proves it. Let's map the terrain, three interlocking psychological pillars that explain why the shadow's exile creates an insatiable inner void, dooming you to repeat the past. Unless you enter first polyvagal theory, pioneered by Stephen Porges, reveals how your vagus nerve, the wandering guardian of social connection, gets hijacked by shadow imprints. In childhood, when abandonment struck, the parent's distracted gaze, the teacher's dismissal, your ventral vagal pathway, meant for safety and intimacy, shut down. You flip to sympathetic fight or flight, hypervigilance, people pleasing is freeze disguised as compliance, or dorsal vagal shutdown, dissociation, numbness, the I'm fine mask. Now, as an adult, a neutral comment from your partner cues the same cascade, heart rate spikes, cortisol floods, the shadow surges. This is neuroception at work. Your subconscious scans for threats, faster than thought, mistaking present safety for past peril. The result? Relational exile. You crave closeness, but your body betrays you, withdrawing into the void where the wounded child hides. Second, attachment theory. Rooted in John Bowlby's observations and expanded by Dan Siegel's interpersonal neurobiology, shows how early bonds sculpt your internal working models, blueprints of self and other etched in the amygdala and prefrontal cortex. Secure attachment fosters co-regulation, mirrored emotions building resilience, but shadow exile stems from insecure patterns, anxious clinging to avoid abandonment, avoidant self reliance as armor against engulfment, or disorganized chaos from abuse. Your 5 year old self, rejected, internalized, I am unlovable, connection hurts. Fast forward, these models fire offline, projecting the past onto partners. They're leaving me just like mom. Bosses, criticism means I'm worthless. Even friends. The prefrontal cortex, your executive center, gets overridden by limbic hijack. Rationality drowns in emotional flashbacks. The void deepens, you chase external validation, but the inner child starves untouched. Third, somatic experiencing. Bessel van de Kolk's trauma legacy, in The Body Keeps the Score, unveils how the shadow lodges in implicit memory, sensations and fragments without narrative. Unlike explicit memories, facts, stories, implicit ones are body bound. The gut clench of shame, the throat lump of unsaid rage. Childhood trauma, subtle or seismic, traps you in pendulation. Discharge incomplete. Energy freezes. Your sympathetic system revs without release. Dorsal shutdown numbs vitality. Jung's active imagination meets this. Dreams and symptoms as somatic signals demanding completion. Ignore them, and the body rebels. Chronic fatigue, dorsal freeze, IBS, gut stored anxiety, insomnia, sympathetic overdrive. The past hides here in fascia tension, shallow breaths, the subtle hunch of armored shoulders. Van der Kolk's scans show trauma shrinks the hippocampus. Memory integration enlarges the amygdala fear amplifier, your shadow's fortress. These pillars interlock in a vicious cycle. Polyvagal misfires trigger attachment projections, amplified by somatic freeze, reinforcing the shadow's exile. Neuroplasticity, once thought fixed post childhood, offers the counterforce. Hebb's rule. Neurons that fire together wire together. Repetition strengthens. Mindful interruption rewires. But here's the battlefield's cruelty. Your default mode network, DMN, the mind-wandering circuit, loops on rumination, replaying shadow narrative. fMRI studies confirm trauma survivors' DMNs overactivate, trapping you in past time, blind to present grace. Feel this in your body now. Notice your breath, shallow. That's dorsal, hinting at old shutdown. Shoulders tight, sympathetic armor from unexpressed fury. The void, its incomplete discharge. Energy meant for boundaries, creativity, love, trapped under. Jung's collective unconscious amplifies it. Archetypes like the devouring mother or tyrannical father imprint via epigenetics, generational trauma, past and methylation markers. Your grandmother's unspoken grief, it hums in your DNA, shadow fuel. Philosophically, this rewiring echoes Heraclitus. You can't step in the same river twice, yet your nervous system forces you to, damned by exile. The cost, fragmented individuation. Jung's process demands conscious suffering, facing the shadow to alchemize lead into gold. Without it, you live half alive, projecting exiles outward. The toxic colleague embodies your rage. The cold lover, your vulnerability. Yet, awareness ignites change. Polyvagal hacks 478 titrates ventral tone, attachment repair, reparent via self compassion, Kristen Neff's protocols, somatic release, pendulate track sensation, allow micro discharge. These aren't band aids, they're reclamation. This foundation arms you. The past hides because your body remembers what your mind denies. But why does it persist? What invisible grief does this strategy exact? Philosophically weighing your soul. We turn there next, to the emotional toll that turns survival into silent torment. Pause, scan your body. What shadow signal arises? A twinge? A heat? That's the battlefield calling, not for war, but witness. Your nervous system, ancient and loyal, awaits command. Chapter 4: The Emotional Cost. Invisible grief and philosophical weight. The shadow's exile doesn't announce itself with fanfare. No thunderclaps of despair, no visible tears staining your cheeks. It creeps in as invisible grief, a quiet hemorrhage of the soul that drains your vitality drop by drop, leaving you parched in a life that looks full from the outside. You've adapted masterfully, the smile that masks the void, the productivity that buries the ache, the relational dance where you give everything but reveal nothing. But beneath this strategy lies a profound toll, the emotional wreckage of abandoning your true self to survive the past storms. This is the hidden wound, an insatiable inner void where unintegrated fragments of you wail silently, their grief compounding into existential weight that bends your spirit under its unseen gravity. Feel the first layer, the grief of unlived life. Every time your child self was shamed into silence, stop crying, don't be selfish, fit in or be cast out, a piece of your essence splintered off into shadow territory. Jung called this enantiodromia, the psyche's tendency to birth its opposite when extremes dominate. You became the good one, compliant, high achieving, armored, while the wild, needy, furious aspects starved in exile. Now, as an adult, that grief manifests as chronic dissatisfaction. Annoying is this all, despite accolades. It's the artist sketching in secret, terrified of judgment, the lover withholding passion, fearing rejection, the leader muting their vision, echoing parental dismissal. This isn't laziness or flaw, it's mourning, mourning the spontaneity, joy, authenticity sacrificed on survival's altar. Your nervous system, rewired for threat, floods you with anhedonia, pleasure dulled, colors muted, as dorsal vagal shutdown numbs the vibrancy once promised. Deeper still, ambiguous loss, Pauline Boss's term for grief without closure, the ghost of who you could have been, haunting your present. The past hides here, not as memory, but as phantom limb. You feel the ache of potential's amputated young. That 5-year-old rage, exiled, now leaks as passive aggression, eroding relationships. The vulnerable heart, buried birth's intimacy anorexia. You're close but untouched, the void widening with each superficial connection. Emotionally, it's exhaustion disguised as numbness. Philosophically, it's the absurd, Camus like confrontation with meaninglessness. Why strive if the core self is forever partial? Your achievements ring hollow, echoes in an empty chamber, because wholeness eludes you. The shadows toll, soul fatigue, where even rest feels guilty, tainted by the inner critic's whip. You're wasting time, heal faster, perform better. Philosophically, this weighs like Sisyphus's boulder, eternal recurrence of the unlived. Nietzsche glimpsed it. Staring into the abyss, it stares back, your shadow's gaze, reflecting the past's unresolved terror. Jung amplified. Repression inflates the unconscious, birthing complexes, autonomous psychic entities that possess you, the abandonment complex, scanning for loss in every goodbye, the shame complex, perfectionism as penance. These aren't quirks, they're psychic debts, accruing interest in depression, addiction, autoimmune flares, body screaming what psyche suppresses. Existentially, it's Heidegger's thrownness, hurled into a life shadowed by past scripts, authenticity, Irenaeus forever deferred. You live in bad faith, Sartre's term, self-deception to evade freedom's terror, pretending the void isn't there while it devours your aliveness. Metaphorically, picture your psyche as a grand cathedral, stained glass ego gleaming under sun, but below, catacombs house the exiles, bones of unloved traits, draped in cobwebs of denial. Pilgrims, your daily moments, tread above, sensing tremors but dismissing them as life. Cracks widen, burnout, relational implosions, midlife crises, until the foundation quakes. The weight, fragmentation. Jung's individuation demands synthesis. Deny it, and you embody the pure eternus, eternal boy potent but ungrounded, chasing highs to flee the void. Women, the pure eterna, butterfly dreamer, loyal but boundaryless, both relational magnets for reenactment, drawing mirrors of the hidden self. The relational cost amplifies. Projection turns others into shadow screens. You accuse partners of coldness, blind to your own armored heart, resent friends' selfishness, ignoring your depleted boundaries. Invisible grief compounds. Loneliness amid crowds, love starved of depth. Career wise, it's the glass ceiling of self sabotage, promotions evaded, less success expose the imposter wound. Self worth erodes. You're a vessel leaking essence, filling with externals that never satisfy. Emotionally, dysregulation reigns. Micro explosions or implosions, polyvagal chaos mistaking safety for threat. This strategy's genius and curse. It protected the child but starves the sovereign adult. The void hungers, manifesting as compulsions, scrolling for dopamine hits, binging for numbness, achieving for worth. Yet fulfillment flees, a mirage born of partiality. Where does this unexpressed fear actually come from? The core terror, coiled in the shadow's heart, that detonates in your simplest daily moments, turning coffee chats into minefields, bedtime scrolls into abysses. We trace it next, unraveling how primal abandonment, fear twists the mundane into menace. Breathe into the grief now, let it surface, not to drown, but to name. The cathedral stirs. Light seeks the bones. Your exile ends not in erasure, but embrace. The weight lifts when witnessed. Chapter 5. The core fear and daily life complication. Fear of abandonment, fear of engulfment, fear of annihilation, fear of the raw, unfiltered self. These are not abstract phobias. They are the primal screams of your shadow exile, the core terror born when the past's wound first cracked your psyche open. Fear of abandonment, the terror that love withdraws, leaving you alone. In the fear of engulfment, the dread that connection devours your fragile autonomy. Fear of annihilation, the horror that expressing your true self invites destruction. This trinity coils at the heart of your hiding past, a nervous system alarm blaring from childhood's first betrayal. The moment your caregiver's gaze turned away, their arms withheld, their words sharpened into rejection. Jung named it the archetype of the orphan eternally seeking home, yet sabotaging its arrival. This fear isn't irrational, it's etched in your amygdala, a survival imprint screaming, hide or be destroyed, and it complicates every simple daily moment, turning breath into battleground, transforming the mundane into minefield. Picture your morning ritual. Sunlight filters through the kitchen window, coffee steams in your mug, the world hums with promise. But as you scroll notifications, a unread text from your partner busy today ignites it, not the words, but the echo. The father's slammed door at 7, the mother's distracted sigh signaling unworthiness. Your chest tightens, polyvagal shutdown, heart races, sympathetic surge. You type a casual reply, but inside, the orphan wails. They're leaving. You're too much, too little. The coffee turns bitter. The day curdles. What was a neutral moment becomes abandonment rehearsal, your shadow projecting past peril onto present pixels, or the commute, traffic crawls, radio drones. A honk behind you, innocent road rage, triggers engulfment terror. Flashback to the sibling who dominated playtime, the teacher who silenced your voice, the boss whose micromanagement felt like erasure. Your hands grip the wheel, white knuckled, breath shallow, dorsal freeze creeping in. You arrive at work, armored, snapping at a colleague's hello. The fear whispers, if I yield space, I'll vanish. Boundaries blur, interactions turn combative. A simple drive twisted into annihilation anxiety. Your true self, the bold idea sharer, cowers exiled. Bedtime scrolls amplify it worst. Blue light bathes your face as feeds parade perfect lives. Couples entwined, achievements flaunted. Annihilation fear surges. Mine is lesser. Exposure equals obliteration. You doom scroll deeper, dopamine chasing the void. But each comparison reenacts childhood shaming, the playground exclusion, the parental comparison. Why can't you be more like? Sleep evades, rumination reigns. Your default mode network loops the orphan narrative. Unlovable, invisible, unsafe. Morning dawns exhausted, the cycle rebooted. Daily meals complicate too. Solo dinner, fork midway to mouth. A friend's delayed RSVP pings. Abandonment ignites. They forgot me. You overanalyze, text preemptively needy, then withdraw in shame. Engulfment flips it. Family dinner invite feels like invasion. They'll drain me dry, you decline. Isolation compounding the void. Annihilation lurks in vulnerability. Sharing a work frustration with a coworker risks judgment, echoing the ridicule that buried your voice. Meals meant for nourishment become relational roulette. Even solitude betrays. Gym mirror reflects progress, but imposter syndrome, shadow's voice hisses. Fake. They'll see through. Annihilation fear halts reps. Abandonment dread questions motives. Who cares if you quit? The workout, a simple self care act, morphs into existential threat. Shopping trips? A cashier's indifference cues engulfment overwhelmed by commerce's demand to perform normal. You rush out basket half full, orphan ache not work meetings magnify it. Pitching an idea, voice wavers as annihilation terror floods. Rejection destroys me. You soften, defer, the bold self exiled. Feedback lands. Abandonment reads into critique. They hate me. A team's laughter. Engulfment paranoia. They're ganging up. Polyvagal misfire. Freeze and freeze frame. Contribution lost. Your career stagnates not from lack of skill, but fear fueled hesitation. Social coffee chats. Minefields. Laughter flows. You join, but a pause silences you. Abandonment. I'm boring. Probe deeper. Engulfment. Too intense. Authenticity dies unspoken. Connection stays surface. Walking home, the void echoes louder, past hiding in plain sight. This core fear, abandonment's orphan cry, engulfment's smothering dread, annihilation's self erasure complicates breath itself. Shallow inhales signal dorsal threat. Full breaths feel risky, exposing the heart. Nervous system rewiring turns triggers ubiquitous, tones, silences, somatic markers, Bessel van der Kolk's ghosts in the machine, fire implicitly. No story needed. The result, chronic dysregulation, cortisol spikes erode immunity, ventral vagal tone starves intimacy, prefrontal override fails, rationality hostage. Philosophically, it's Kafka's trial. Endless judgment from within, no acquittal. Jung's warning, unintegrated fear possesses, turning life into symptom. The orphan archetype seeks reunion, but fear blocks it, perpetual exile. Yet witness how it twists the ordinary. Your past, not dead, animates every hesitation. This fear evolves next into adult patterns, projecting onto relationships, child wounds reborn in lovers' quarrels, friends' distance. Feel it now. Inhale the fear. Name it orphan rising. Exhale, I witness. The complication cracks open to choice. Chapter 6. Adult Manifestation. Relational projection. They become adults who love fiercely, yet flee at the first shadow of conflict, who build empires of connection, dinners planned, texts pinged, favors lavished, yet wake hollow, wondering why intimacy feels like a transaction. The core fear of abandonment, that orphan wail from childhood's fracture, doesn't fade, it evolves, projecting the past's hiding places onto every adult bond. Your shadow exile, once a child's survival crouch, now puppeteers relationships, turning partners into parental stand ins, friends into fickle tribes, lovers into engulfing voids. This is relational projection, the unconscious hurling of unintegrated fragments outward, reenacting the original wound to force its resolution or deepen its scar. Picture the pattern's birth, that 5-year-old, arms outstretched for embrace, met with distraction, criticism, absence. The psyche splits, ego armors up, shadow swallows the need. Decades later, you meet the one, charming, attentive, honeymoon neural fireworks, oxytocin floods, ventral vagal bliss. But subtle cues ignite, a late reply, a stressed tone. Boom, abandonment, complex activates. Your body precedes thought, gut twists somatic memory, accusations fly. You're pulling away or worse, silent withdrawal, testing their loyalty like the parent who never stayed. This isn't drama, it's projection. Jung called it the anima snare, the contrasexual archetype, your inner feminine masculine twisted by exile, demanding completion through others. You seek the perfect match to heal the void, but project the imperfect parent instead, dooming the. In romantic bonds, it manifests as anxious avoidant trap. Anxious phase, you overgive, scan for micro projections, people please into resentment. If I fix their mood, avoidant flip, engulfment terror surges. Too close, they'll consume me, so you stonewall, sabotage with affairs, or distance. Dan Siegel's attachment loops explain it. Mirror neurons fire past scripts, co regulating toward dysregulation. The partner becomes the devouring mother, smothering neediness projected, or tyrannical father, authority you rebel against. Sex, a battleground. Vulnerability risks annihilation, so performance trumps presence, leaving both unsatisfied. Breakups, cataclysmic, not closure. Each echoes the primal loss, shadow howling louder. Friendships twist subtler. You collect allies like talismans against orphan isolation, yet test boundaries, ghosting after vulnerability, passive aggression over perceived slights. A forgotten birthday? Abandonment apocalypse. They never cared. You withdraw, projecting unreliability onto them, blind to your own flakiness, born of fear. Group dynamics amplify. Holiday gatherings cue tribal exile, where laughter feels exclusionary. You overperform the funny one, masking the child scanning faces for belonging. Engulfment lurks in loyalty demands. Why didn't you text back? Turning confidants into captors. Family ties? Incestuous knots of projection. Siblings embody rivalrous shadows. Their success triggers annihilation envy. They got the love I didn't. Parents, now aged, reignite the wound. You forgive superficially but resent deeply. Holidays devolving into unspoken power plays. As parent yourself, the cycle tempts, overprotecting engulfment armor or distant abandonment. Repeat. Your child mirrors your shadow, tantrums you shut down, echo your exiled rage until awareness breaks it. Work relationships, professionalize the mess. Colleagues become authority figures. The boss's feedback hurls you to paternal dismissal, birthing defiance, or fawning. Team projects, abandonment and collaboration fears. They'll leave me hanging, so you micromanage, repelling alliance. Mentors, idealized then demonized, anima projection swinging wild. Polyvagal lens reveals the physiology, relational cues, cue neuroception shut down. A partner's sigh, dorsal freeze, you numb out. Argument heat, sympathetic rage, fight projecting fury. Safety rebuilt demands ventral repair. Eye contact, co breathing, but fear blocks it. The void persists. Profound loneliness amid proximity. Love's paradox. Philosophically, it's platonic cave shadows projecting inner darkness onto external screens, mistaking illusion for reality. Jung warned, the projection making factor in a man is the repressed feminine side until it is made conscious. Your relationships become alchemical vessels, forcing shadow confrontation or repeated fracture. You've felt it, the magnetic pull to difficult people, synchronicities, screaming integration. The clingy ex, your needy orphan. The distant friend, your armored autonomy. We will now dive into the 6 hidden symptoms you experience every day. Blueprints of this projection across life's arenas, naming the beast to starve it. Pause in your next interaction. Witness the pull. Is this now or then? Projection cracks under gaze. Chapter 7, Adult Manifestation, Career and Internal Identity. You might wake at dawn, grind through emails, chase deadlines with laser focus, yet stare at the ceiling at midnight, whispering, "Who am I really?" The shadow's relational projections bleed into career and self, birthing 6 hidden symptoms, Silent saboteurs rooted in the orphan's exile, the past's hiding venom distorting ambition into hate. These aren't flaws, they're echoes of childhood adaptation. The good child who traded authenticity for approval, now paying in professional stagnation and identity fracture across relationships already mapped. Career, self worth, boundaries, emotional regulation, and internal identity. They manifest daily, turning potential into prison. Name them and the grip loosens. Symptom 1: Relationships. The loyalty litmus test. You bind colleagues into pseudo family, scanning for abandonment in every missed meeting or curt email. A team's inside joke, exile paranoia, they're against me. You overcommit to projects, fawning for inclusion, then resent the drain, projecting engulfment onto demanding coworkers. Career fallout, burnout from unpaid emotional labor, promotions blocked by perceived drama. Internally, it hollows identity. You're the reliable fixer, not the visionary self. Symptom 2: Career. Imposter perfectionism. You armor achievements with flawless execution. Every report triple checked, lest a flaw cue annihilation fear. They'll see the fraud, expose the unworthy child. Childhood praise was conditional, only if you're perfect. So you delay launches, hoard ideas, self sabotage raises. The promotion arrives, but joy flees. Imposter syndrome whispers, temporary. Your career plateaus in the competent but not leader zone. Shadow hoarding bold risks in exile. Identity erodes. Success feels borrowed, not owned. Symptom 3: Self worth. The validation vortex. Metrics rule. Likes on LinkedIn, performance reviews, salary bumps become self worth oxygen. A neutral feedback, abandonment apocalypse. I'm failing. You chase external nods, scrolling competitors wins. The orphan starving amid abundance. Career wise, it births job hopping delusion. Next role will prove me. But the void follows. Identity tethered to hierarchy, crumbling in layoffs or critiques. Jung's persona, inflation mask hardens. True self withers unseen. Symptom 4: Boundaries. The invisible fence collapse. Engulfment terror makes no feel suicidal. You absorb workload, say yes to happy hours, masking isolation dread. Childhood blurred lines. Don't upset them, rewired you for porous edges. Colleagues trample, dumping tasks, venting endlessly. Career consequence, exploitation, exhaustion. The reliable mule, overlooked for assertive risers. Identity fractures, your vessel not sovereign, resenting the self you exiled for belonging. Symptom 5: Emotional regulation, microvolcanic eruptions. Polyvagal chaos turns cubicle stress into sympathetic surges. A deadline miscues rage at incompetent teams, projected shadow fury, or dorsal shutdown. Staring blank, dissociated, childhood emotions shamed. Control yourself froze regulation circuits. Daily, tears in bathroom stalls, passive aggression in Slack, bottling till implosion. Career toll, reputation as moody missed networks from withdrawn vibes. Internal identity, a pressure cooker, authenticity leaked in fragments, wholeness mocked. Symptom 6: Internal identity, the echo chamber void. Deepest cut, you narrate life through past scripts. Not enough, hide the nest. Default mode network looping orphan tales. Career dreams stagnate. The entrepreneur stifled by failure phobia. The artist doodling in margins. Identity, a collage of roles, employee, parent, friend, but no core. Mid meetings, Dissociation hits. Is this me? Shadow exile starves the self, Jung's wholeness archetype, leaving existential hunger no title fills. These symptoms interweave daily. Monday's imposter pitch flops from boundary lapse. Tuesday's validation chase sparks emotional blowout. Wednesday's relational test isolates you further. Neurobiologically, it's limbic override. Amygdala hijacks prefrontal planning. Cortisol chronicizes the grind. fMRI lights up trauma loops. Past hiding as present hurdle. Philosophically, it's Kierkegaard's despair, failing to become oneself, shadow self reigning. Career manifests stark, the overachiever plateauing, innovation exiled, the loyalist exploited, voice muted. Identity, fragmented mirror glimpses of potency in dreams, crushed by day. Women often channel into relational overdrive, men into stoic grind, gendered shadows. Same void. You've lived these, the meeting where genius died unspoken, the raise earned but unclaimed, the quiet rage at your own cage. Awareness names them not shame, but signal. The first step is speaking to the body, regulating the nervous system to quiet these symptoms at source. We turn there next, framing behaviors as ancient allies, not enemies, witnessing the path to unlearning. Track one symptom today. Journal what past echo. The naming begins unraveling. Chapter 8, Awareness and Unlearning. Silencing the inner critic, those six symptoms: loyalty tests, imposter perfectionism, validation vortexes, boundary collapses, emotional eruptions, identity voids aren't who you are. They're not etched in stone personality traits, ineradicable flaws whispering this is just you. They're ancient coping mechanisms, forged in the crucible of childhood exile, when your shadow learned to hide the past's pain to keep you alive. The orphan's armor, the people pleaser's smile, the perfectionist's grind, they protected the fragile child from annihilation, abandonment, engulfment. But now, as sovereign adult, they choke your aliveness, replaying trauma on loop. The revolution begins with reframing, not self gaslighting into fix yourself, but radical witnessing. Jung called it active imagination, modern psychology, metacognition. You become the observer, not the prisoner, silencing the inner critic, born of yesterday's survival scripts. Start here. Awareness as the alchemical solvent. Your inner critic, that relentless voice, hissing not enough, hide the mess, they'll leave, isn't you judging you. It's the projected parental superego, internalized from shaming glances, conditional love, the moments your emotions were deemed too much. Freud glimpsed it as conscience tyranny. Jung elevated it to complex possession. Neuroscience confirms it's the anterior cingulate cortex clashing with default mode network rumination, amplified by shadow repression. Witnessing interrupts. Pause the loop. Next time imposter syndrome surges mid pitch. Fake they'll see. Don't argue. Label critic voice rising. Old protector activating. This metacognitive shift per Siegel's mindsight activates the prefrontal cortex, downgrading amygdala alarm. No force, no war, just space. The critic quiets, not silenced by combat, but observed into obsolescence. Unlearning demands embodiment, not intellect alone. These mechanisms wired polyvagal pathways for freeze-fight patterns. Awareness rewires through ventral vagal restoration. Practice the 3R witness. Recognize, name the symptom. Boundary collapse here. Relate, trace to origin. Echo of childhood. Don't upset. Release somatic titration. Track tension, breathe into it. Inner child dialogue follows. Visualize the 5-year-old orphan, terrified in corner. Smave her language. I see you hiding. You're safe now. I won't abandon you. This isn't woo woo, it's reparenting via Kristen Neff's self compassion, proven to shrink shame circuits. If MRI shifts show self directed kindness thickens insula empathy, thins critic pathways. Daily, morning mirror witness. What protector shows today turns gaslighting unbroken to alliance. Thank you for past safety. New path now. Silencing extends to shadow projection. Relational tests. Witness. Orphan scanning for loss, not truth. Pause before texting accusations. Query body chest tight. Past echo. Career perfectionism. Label armor activating for approval. Delay the triple check. Ship the good enough. Reclaiming exiled boldness. The inner critic thrives on autopilot. Awareness spotlights it, starving its fuel. Jung's technique: amplify the critic and journal. Give it cartoon voice, absurd props. Judge Judy with gavel of doubt. Laughter dissolves possession. The mechanism reveals as costume, not philosophically. This is Nietzsche's eternal recurrence, reframed. Would you relive the critic's loop forever? Witnessing says no, choosing a marfati, love of fate, by integrating the shadow voice as teacher. Heidegger's Dasein awakens, authentic being emerges from averting inauthenticity's pull. No self gaslighting, push harder. That's critic complicity. Witnessing honors the psyche's teleology, Jung's self-regulating urge toward wholeness. Practical unlearning ladder. Micro-witness hourly, set phone pings, body check, protector, or presence. Builds neural habit. Dream incubation, pre-sleep. Show me the hiding critic. Morning decode. Shadow symbols guide. Embodied no boundaries symptom. Practice somatic no, hand on belly, exhale firm. Retrains vagus from porous to potent. Critic amnesty. Weekly list 3 flaws. It attacks. Flip to gifts. Laziness, rest wisdom. Alchemizes poison to medicine. Pitfalls, bypassing. I'm aware now, fixed. No, awareness is ongoing, not endpoint. Regression, triggers overwhelm. Titrate, 5-minute witnesses build capacity. The void fills not by erasure, but invitation. Critic becomes ally, pointing unlived goal. You've glimpsed it, moments post-witness. Breath deepens, presence blooms. Symptoms fade, not by will, but welcome. The past's hiding softens under gaze. The first step is speaking to the body, regulating the nervous system to anchor this awareness, discharging the orphan's frozen energy for true sovereignty. We descend there next. Actionable paths illuminating the healing dawn. Feel the shift now. Inner critic stirs, smile, old friend, witnessed. The silencing begins. Chapter 9: The Beginning of Healing. Actionable Paths. Imagine waking not to the critic's whip or the orphan's hollow ache, but to a quiet sovereignty, a body that hums with ventral safety, a psyche where the past's hiding places glow with invitation rather than threat. This isn't fantasy, it's the dawn of healing, grounded in emotional honesty. Your shadow exile demands not erasure, but embrace. We've witnessed the mechanisms, silence the inner tyrant. Now, we act 3 interlocking paths: inner child reparenting, shadow work, and nervous system regulation. These aren't quick fixes or spiritual bypasses, they're somatic archetypal rituals, reclaiming the unlived self from the void. Jung forged them in his Red Book Descent. Neuroscience validates them today. Step into the warmth of your own alliance. The child waits, hand outstretched. Path 1, inner child reparenting, reclaiming the orphan's trust. That 5-year-old, curled in the corner of your psyche, exiled by abandonment's chill, isn't healed by platitudes. Reparenting meets her where she trembles in the body through daily ceremony. Start with the daily hold, mornings, 10 minutes undistracted. Sit comfortably, eyes closed, hand on heart or belly, your adult anchor. Visualize her, wide eyes, frozen fear. Speak her language, soft and firm. Little one, I see you're hurt. Mommy, daddy couldn't hold you then. I hold you now. You're safe. Your feelings are welcome. Feel the somatic shift. Chest softens, breath deepens, as ventral vagal co-regulation rewires attachment models. Evidence? Kristen Neff's studies show self-compassion floods oxytocin, shrinking amygdala reactivity. Extend to play the exiled spontaneity, starved in perfectionism. Weekly child date, crayons, swings, mud pies, no agenda, pure mess. As adult witness, narrate. Look at you creating. No wrong way. Triggers arise. Shame surge. Pause. Reparent. That's old protector we're playing now. Nightly letter. Pen her fears. I'm too much. Your reply, you're exactly right. Over months, the orphan integrates, boundaries firm from inner safety, validation vortex quiets. Honest truth. Regressions hit, tears, rage. Hold through, this too is welcome. Wholeness blooms. Self worth roots internally, not in metrics. Path 2, shadow work. Dialoguing with the exiled twins. Jung's great work, confronting the nocturnal twin, not as enemy, but emissary. Shadow work alchemizes the hiding past into gold facing rage, laziness, neediness banished young. Core practice, active imagination, 20 minutes thrice weekly. Dim lights, journal ready. Invoke shadow, show yourself. Let images arise, dark figure, snarling beast, mirror twin. Dialogue aloud. What do you carry for me? Listen without censor. I hold your fury, shamed at 6. Respond. Thank you for protecting. What do you need? Often, witness, expression, integration. Draw it, move it, dance the rage till discharge. Advanced projection retrieval. Spot symptoms, boss triggers. Ask, what shadow trait do I disown here? Your authority hunger. Own it. I crave power too. Thank you, mirror. Dream work amplifies. Record night visions, amplify symbols. Monster? Befriend. What gift? Robert Johnson's Owning Your Own Shadow maps it. Retrieve projections, relationships heal. Somatic layer. Embody punch pillows for fury. Wail for grief. Complete the freeze. Pitfall, overwhelm. T trait, 5 minutes first. Result, potency floods. Career boldness from owned ambition. Identity solidifies. The void, filled with reclaimed fire. Honest, it's messy. Nausea, dreams intensify. Persist, integration sweetens solitude into strength. Path 3, nervous system regulation. Discharging the battlefield. Body first. Your ancient wiring. Polyvagal battlefield demands titration. Peter Levine's somatic experiencing core. Track sensation. Pendulate safety threat safety. Discharge trapped energy. Daily vagal reset. 4-7-8 breath. Inhale 4 nose. Hold 7. Exhale 8 mouth. Activates ventral pathway, countering sympathetic orphan panic. Feel the wave tingle, shake, yawn, frozen survival shakes free. Polyvagal yoga, orient to beauty, window gaze, bird song, grounding safety cues, coherence practice, hand on heart, hum low tones, resets HRV, per heart math research, boosting prefrontal access 40%. Triggers, orbit shift, Debdana, Orient Scan Room, resource named Safety, Feet Grounded, Build Micro Movement, Titrate Touch Edge of Fear, Integrate Anchor Calm, Weekly TRE Tension Release Exercises, 7 poses inducing neurogenic tremoring, discharging dorsal freeze, Bessel van der Kolk's Rhythm, Drum Sway Syncs Hemispheres, Track, journal pre-post vagal tone, ease, social warmth, honest early frustration, nothing's happening, patience capacity builds, career bonus, regulated presence pitches boldly, relationships deepen in co-presence, weave the paths, reparent during regulation, shadow dialogue, post-trigger, community aids, embodied groups prevent isolation. Track progress, symptom journal fades, dreams lighten, joy sparks unbidden, healing's arc, contraction, old pains surface, expansion, space emerges. You're not fixing broken, you're midwifing wholeness. Feel it now, hand to heart. Whisper, we begin. The past stirs, not to haunt, but heal. Chapter 10, Conclusion and Affirmation. Wholeness in the final quote. You've journeyed deep now from the alpha hook's chilling whisper of the hiding past, through the shadow's archetypal exile, the nervous system's rewired battlefield, the invisible grief's philosophical crush, the core fears twisting daily breath, the relational projections puppeteering your bonds, the 6 symptoms sabotaging career and soul, the witnessing that silences the critic, to the healing paths reparenting your orphan core. Feel the resonance settle, not as intellectual tally, but somatic knowing, chest lighter, breath fuller, the void stirring with possibility. Carl Jung didn't promise erasure, he mapped return. The past isn't dead, it's hiding inside you. Those words etched in his alchemical fire aren't curse, but compass inviting you to unearth the gold veiled in wound. Pause here, in this sacred hush. Place a hand where you feel it most, the heart's quiet thrum, the belly's subtle warmth, the shoulders releasing decades' armor. You've witnessed the eternal exile, that unintegrated shadow, the hidden wound of abandoning your true self to survive childhood's tempests, birthing an insatiable inner void, echoing unresolved trauma into every present moment. No longer abstract, it's intimate. You're intimate. The playground taunt that birthed perfectionism's whip, the parental sigh forging abandonment's orphan, the shamed rage, exiled to nocturnal dreams. These hid not to torment, but testify your psyche, self regulating genius, clamors for wholeness through every symptom, synchronicity, somatic signal. Reflect on the arc. Alpha paradox gripped you, craving seamless flow, yet fractured by hiding roots. Archetype unveiled the shadow as dynamic twin, ancient defense cloaking unlived fire. Psychology grounded it, polyvagal neuroception, mistaking now for then, attachment models projecting orphan scripts, somatic freeze trapping implicit pain, emotional cost weighed existential ambiguous loss of potentials, Sisyphus labor of unlived life, Heideggerian thrownness into inauthentic masks, core fear, abandonment, engulfment, annihilation, trinity, detonated mundanities into minefields, adult manifestation, relational reenactments, drawing mirrors, career imposter stalls, identity voids. Symptoms named loyalty tests, devouring boundaries, validation vortices, starving self worth, awareness reframed, mechanisms as allies witnessed into quiet, healing paths, activated reparenting's embrace, shadow dialogue's gold, regulations discharge, rewiring the battlefield for sovereignty. This isn't linear triumph, it's spiral ascent. Jung chronicled his own in the Red Book, descent into chaos, dialogue with spirits born of depths, emergence integrated. Yours mirrors regressions tempt, triggers flare, critics snarls, but each witness deepens capacity. Neuroplasticity affirms, ventral pathways thicken with practice, amygdala quiets, default mode frees from loops. Philosophically, it's Nietzschean yes to chaos, birthing stars, Camus absurd embraced through creation, Sartre freedom seized from bad faith. Individuation dawns, not ego inflation, but self's quiet throne, where shadow serves, animus harmonizes, collective archetypes fuel rather than fracture. One profound quote seals this truth. Jung's own distillation from decades, plumbing the psyche. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. There it burns, your invitation, the hiding past, once devouring void, transmutes via consciousness, darkness alchemized, figures of light embodied. No more exile, reunion, feel it. The artist voice rising in meetings, boundaries voicing unapologetic no's, relationships co regulating, in depth, career risks blooming bold, identity rooting in wholeness, not metrics, the insatiable hunger, sated by sovereignty, self as home, past as wisdom soil. The goal is not to be fixed, but to become whole. Fixed implies broken machine, oiled to perfection, churning without friction. Wholeness, the mosaic psyche, cracks gilded, fragments dancing in light, potent, paradoxical, profoundly alive. You, with your orphan tenderness and shadow fire, your regulated breath and reparented heart, emerge not flawless, but full. Triggers may whisper. You'll witness, integrate, alchemize, dreams vivid, synchronicities guide. Body hums ventral song. Love flows bidirectional. Ambition serves soul. Solitude nourishes. This is the hero's return, carrying the boon for self. Kin, breathe it in now. The past stirs within, no longer hiding in shame, but honored guest at wholeness feast. You've midwifed it from haunted house to holy temple, forest roots to canopy bloom, battlefield to garden. Sovereign, you stand, past woven, into present power. If this journey stirred your depths, whispering truths long buried, share it with one soul, scanning the same void. Hit that subscribe. Let's walk this spiral together. Chapters unfolding. Comment below what shadow fragment calls first. Your voice ripples the collective unconscious. Wholeness awaits. Not tomorrow, but this breath. Become